Welcome to the Rochester, New Hampshire History Podcast, a monthly show that will shine a light on a piece of history that has been all but forgotten.
In 1952, Harry Truman is President of the United States. I Love Lucy is one of the most popular shows on television. The United States is fighting in the Korean War. The United States aircraft carrier Wasp collides with the destroyer Hobson, killing 175 men. In Rochester that year, the first Little League baseball games are held.
The March 20th, 1952 Rochester Courier's front page announced, "Little League baseball idea gets support of many local enthusiasts." According to the newspaper, one of the biggest promoters of Rochester Little League was Roy Alleyne. Roy would be the commissioner of the newly formed league. A few weeks later, the May 1st newspaper announced that Little League holds initial tryout at Fair Park. The article stated that the Fair Association would make their baseball field available for Little League games. In 1952, the games would be played at the fairgrounds. In later years, the games would be played at the Rochester Common and Paradise Park in Gonick.
There would be 5 teams in 1952, and they'd be known by their sponsor's name: Kiwanis Club, Lions Club, Lee Club Harmony, Moose Lodge, and Elks Lodge. It was very competitive to be on one of those teams, as 150 boys tried out for only 75 spots. Back in the 1950s, it was something special for kids to have an organized team, an organized schedule, and uniform. The Rochester Courier announced the rosters of the 5 teams, and the newspaper coverage was fantastic. It must have been a thrill for the children to see their names in the paper and the box scores for each game. The Little League opening game was actually a front-page story for the Rochester Courier. The games were so popular that a policeman was needed to direct traffic around the roads of the fairgrounds. The season's first no-hitter was pitched by Zane Chase in July. In that initial year, the Rochester All-Stars did well in the playoffs. They advanced to the championship game and eventually lost to Manchester.
The 1952 season ended in late August, with Club Harmony earning the best record, with 12 wins and 7 losses. That first year was a great success, and guaranteed organized baseball for kids was here to stay. Here is a collection of pictures of the early days of Rochester Little League. Perhaps you will see your father, grandfather, or uncle in the Little League uniform.
This ends the podcast. If you have any questions or comments, please email bobgriffinpodcast@gmail.com and come back next month for another episode of Rochester, New Hampshire History.